Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
We are here today to one more VanHackCON webinar. Yes, the title of the webinar today is Adopting 21st Century Skills in Programming with Mehmet. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, Mehmet. Before we start, I would like to ask you a question. Yes? Let's see what you think. What do you think are the main skills for jobs this century? Yes, you cannot speak, so please put your answers in the chat.
So, shall we begin?
Just a moment, Mehmet. Let's see if they have any clues about what you're going to say.
I think they've seen the skills that I'll be talking about.
Okay.
Because in the job descriptions, we see a lot of them.
Yeah. Aline said here communication, yes, teamwork, IT, Python, yeah, resilience, yeah. Again, communication.
Communication, yeah.
Yeah. Are they correct, Mehmet?
Most of them, yes. But I'll be talking about, soft skills, especially soft skills. Because we already have technical skills and we can show them easily, but soft skills are difficult to uncover. So I'll try to show them how we can work on it.
Okay, so now it is up to you, Mehmet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marina. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all safe and well. It's an honor to be a part of VanHackCON. And I'd like to present my gratitude to the organizers of this conference. My name is Mehmet, and I work as a software developer in YCP Information Technologies, which is located in Istanbul, Turkey. In YCP, we create solutions, software solutions for a variety of industries, and it is an accredited research and development center, which is supported by the Turkish government. And I also volunteer as a teaching assistant at Kodluyoruz, which is an NGO that provides free boot camps for high potential people in Turkey. And, occasionally I give talks on subjects like productivity, motivation, self-discipline, and result-oriented work. And today is going to be yet another opportunity for me to talk about the in-demand skills in 2020. We are in 2020 and, all the information you need is on the web, right? So we can basically find anything on the internet, and whatever I talk here and whatever I convey here, you can easily access them without a speaker, without me in this case. And your time is important, and I have to admit it. And I am very well aware of this fact. And considering this, I thought, rather than giving you the information that you can find yourself, I thought I could instead help you think about a certain package of ideas. So that is my main argument of this talk. This is the main argument of this talk. I could instead help you think about a certain package of ideas. So, and as you might know, searching better rather than knowing more has come into a much more important role because of the astronomical amount of information on the web. Yes, you can find anything, but that is also a disadvantage. So we have to be aware of that, aware of this fact. And therefore, conducting a search well on the web, for example, is a rising star among our many soft skills. And today I'll mainly talk about the soft skills like this that surround your technical skills. And while doing so, as I said earlier, I'll not give you an information-based talk, as it is much easier to find them on the web, but as I stated, I'll instead help you contemplate a few core subjects which I strongly believe that they have not been discussed and taught upon enough, especially around the tech circles. The speech is going to be a kind of food for thought, and please consider this talk as such. And the main motivation, by the way, behind this talk is that some things attract attention only after you talk about them and discuss them enough in conferences, seminars, meetups, etc. And repetition is also one of the strongest elements in marketing, right? Because you're all familiar with it. If you'd like your ideas, for example, to be embraced by your target audience, so you have to repeat them in large numbers so that they can take action in the way you want them to. And just think about TV or YouTube ads. I mean, you may have seen a certain advertisement, over and over again, so that you remember the jingle, the music, and the main idea behind it by heart, right? And these marketing techniques are actually based on psychological research. It is designed to do so. It is designed to help you or cause you to take action, urge you to take action. And the same thing applies to politics, as you might know. Even if something is wrong, politicians repeat it so many times, it is their job, so that you have no choice but to believe them eventually. So your brain gradually makes the inevitable decision for you. So this is the main idea. And regardless of your location, we are all familiar with this kind of scenario. And what I mean by all this, the amount of exposure to a certain idea really matters. The more you hear it, the more you discuss it, and the better you understand and implement it. And my main idea here is that we don't discuss what the new age brings for us, especially for software developers, and what the new age expects from software developers. So I'll be talking about this. And I believe we have new skills in demand now, because we didn't need these skills in the past, but we need them more now, and we'll need them more in the future. And I think they have not been taught upon well, and we don't discuss them, but they play a super significant role in development teams. So I hope this 30-minute webinar will at least help you reconsider them, because you know what I will be talking about. You've seen them before. And I'd like you to find a way to adopt them personally if you don't have those skills, or as a team as you move in your career, but we need to freeze the time and disable notifications, avoid digital distractions for a short while, and only think about the explanations on these skills and what I have to say about them. Put your focus here, and I'm sure you'll find something for yourself in this talk. And I hope this explains why I saw the need to talk about the in-demand skills. In this 30-minute talk, I would like to create an opportunity for you guys to reconsider, reconsider the in-demand skills needed, especially in software development teams. And after the talk, I'm sure you'll approach these skills differently whenever you see them, because of the perceptual selectivity phenomenon in psychology, the resisting perceptual selectivity phenomenon. And I also would like to restore the reputation of the over-repeated skills like problem solving. I know, I'm sure you hear and see it everywhere nowadays in job descriptions, but that actually causes you to take it for granted, and that is a trap, and eventually that harms your career. But the worst thing is that you're not even aware of the losses of underappreciating a valuable soft skill like problem solving. So what skills are we talking about here? The World Economic Forum prepares reports on a regular basis for the benefit of the relevant institutions or governments. And one of these reports is about the in-demand skills in 2020. And my speech is actually partly dependent on this report. I read it, and it got me thinking. And although the World Economic Forum prepares the skills report to shed light, especially on the needs of early educational institutions globally and the necessary adjustments that need to be made at these schools, I thought we as developers are lifelong learners, right? So we always need to polish our skills with a new framework, a language, or a new methodology. And so it's clear that software development is an everlasting school, and its students never graduate. And for this reason, the skills report prepared by the World Economic Forum is quite significant for us, for software developers. And it definitely deserves to be discussed and scrutinized. And please read it afterwards, and I'm sure you'll find something for yourself, and you'll see why I saw the need to talk about the report. And the first skill that I'd like to start with is collaboration. Collaboration is a fundamental part of teams, right? And it is one of the most undervalued or underappreciated soft skills. Actually, we take this one for granted, like the others that I will talk about. But before going into the individual skills, I would like to make a general statement. I argue that technical skills are valued more than soft skills in general, and this is the overall perception. But it's completely wrong. It's a misconception. To me, it's a misconception. I think this is because we can display technical skills with no difficulty, while soft skills are more abstract or hidden in your personality, right? Because it's a part of your personality, and maybe you don't see the need to uncover your personality or the soft skills that is hidden in your personality. And you don't really have a way to show them all, or the level you perform these skills. It is mostly abstract, as I said. And the one other duty of HRs is to assess your soft skills just by asking a few, questions, besides the technical ones in interviews. And these skills could involve communication, the way you approach problems, persistence, leadership, taking initiative, etc. And they usually draw your personality and what kind of a person you are in the eyes of your prospective employers. Returning back to collaboration, I should say we don't usually spend some time on the way we collaborate with others. We think it's a built-in function in humans, as though it comes as a default feature, right? That is partly true, and therefore we think we don't need to work on it because, it's a built-in function in humans. But we can still work on it and make it better, improve it. And do you think you yourself spend the necessary time to improve your technical communication, for example? And this is one of the crucial parts of this talk. And technical communication, by the way, is how you communicate with your team in a technical terminology. Technical communication, above all others, is a skill that could boost your team's productivity by 20%. I have to admit this is a rather subjective statement by me, and I go further and argue that with proper technical communication, the software being developed could be released in a shorter time and with less effort. And you'll support my argument in a second, because I'm sure we all suffer from this, and most of us are not even aware of the fact that you're losing time and energy because of poor technical communication, or you don't have a chance to define it because you're not aware of it. And I think you all remember a time in which you end up with bugs or unnecessary features because of misunderstandings within your team, and turn back and fix or even delete some of them, right? And I've personally experienced it many times. And I'm sure you have as well. Imagine you face this in large numbers. They accumulate and result as a waste of time and energy, right? In another example, I remember having difficulty defining the bugs to my team members, even in my native language. I was saying, there is this feature that is not working well in this component. It is supposed to select this thing, and the others should go away, but it's not doing what I want. As you can see, I was really giving an overall description of the bug. It is not clear here. The communication is not clear and precise. Instead, here we could have included more technical and relevant terms and make it narrower in context so that they can imagine the problem quickly that is causing the bug. And in this scenario, I think you could have a better description like this. I'm trying to select an item in a list and want the rest of the list to disappear upon the selection, but it's not behaving in a way I want. Do you think it's because of a poor list rendering, or is there something else regarding React's component structure, let's say? It's not the greatest way of communicating, but it's just an example for you to see the difference between the two technical conversations. It's just an example, to attract your attention, to use a sound technical communication. And here you give a hint that the problem could be in rendering the list and help your team members understand the concept well. And the objective here is to put your team members in your head within the shortest amount of time. That is the objective. And here, I think we could include more and accurate terminology within your domain to boost communication. And we need to think about it more and try to understand the possible benefits of a proper technical conversation. Just imagine using a proper technical conversation and the benefits of it. And on the other hand, we are all working from home in an unprecedented fashion because of the global pandemic, right? I sense that we will have a lot more companies that will go remote in the coming months or years. And even the corporate and giant companies are sending its employees home. So what I'm saying, we have to adapt ourselves and our skills accordingly. When I say 21st century, I mean after 2020, because we are now entering a new period in the history of the Earth. So we are going to be working from home, and somehow we have to adapt ourselves and our skills accordingly. And because of this new routine, we are using apps like Slack, Discord, Meet, or this webinar, or just you name it, and the technology to handle and the other technology to handle collaboration, right? And for this reason, I argue that communicating through cams and mics are even more difficult than face-to-face communication. It is difficult. Just admit it. It is difficult to do communication online. More difficult, relatively more difficult, and that makes technical communication even more significant. And think about it this way. And for all these reasons, as developers or team leads or managers, we need to polish our general and technical communication skills and think about how we can better structure these technical conversations. And by the way, speaking of remote working, I think I need to delve into the specific skills that are required in remotely hired developers. In general, remote jobs require you to be more autonomous and self-disciplined by its nature. And you're all alone, and communication is, like I stated earlier, through cams and mics, right? So we are handling communication through cams and mics. I think we have to admit that we've all had a problem with adapting to this new normal at work at first, right? Just remember the first time you started working from home, and we had to deal with jumping cats in the middle of meetings, or family members appearing accidentally in the background. And in addition to these, I think you may get bored staying at home all the time, because that is totally fine, by the way, as we haven't experienced such a thing until 2020. And some people argue that working from home affected productivity in a negative way. If you're in the lockdown, yes, that is true. But if you are free and you can go out anytime you want, but you're working from home, I may not agree with that. I partly agree with this statement. People working from home affected productivity in a negative way. I partly agree with that, especially if you haven't grown an understanding for self-discipline until the COVID period. It is possible that you had some problems adapting to the new normal at work. And by the way, I'm not here to offend anyone, but some people, because everyone is different, some people need the physical appearance of others, of team members, to get motivated to work. I've heard this many times from my friends, for example. But it seems the future is remote, and we better learn how to get motivated alone without a second party. And this is yet another topic we need to start discussing without losing much time, as time is passing at an unprecedented rate. So time is much more precious, especially in tech-related businesses, right? Because we are on a schedule, most of the time. We are using Kanban or Agile systems to track your development. And therefore, time is precious. And here, I think I have to make something clear. In the past, you might not have needed self-motivation or self-discipline much, but today it's on the way to become a must skill in remotely hired developers. So please think about it this way and search how you can gain this skill or improve it, and you will see how it will help you, especially if you work from home. And now, as you're working from home, and I believe you're supposed to be more autonomous than ever, because you're all alone and you don't have the help of the physical appearance of others. That is the benefit of being together physically. But you're alone, you're working from home. And here is another skill that I think we should be discussing at this point, and that is taking initiative and showing some responsibility. Because of the lack of proper and face-to-face communication, we feel alone even in the project, right? Because you're alone, and you might be alienated even in your own project. And there's nothing like a social human being, by the way. We are socials by nature. But I think you have to learn to stay alone even more in the future. And I observe that virtual teams usually lack the amount of responsibility in its team members, and that might put your app in jeopardy. And owning and internalizing the product and attaching yourself to that is needed even more in the new normal. And that's why we'll see taking initiative or showing some responsibility or responsibility requirements in job descriptions more in the coming months. Just for a second, put yourself in the shoes of your boss or CTO. They're on a schedule, right? And they want to release the app as soon as possible, and want to make sure that the problems are not swept under the rug. It is more likely that you can impress your superiors with such a skill, showing more responsibility and showing some more leadership and taking initiative. And the other thing here is that you don't really have to try to handle the role of your team lead. I don't mean that. And showing some responsibility or leadership doesn't mean taking the role of your team lead. What I mean is you should not close your eyes to the bitter situations that might grow and harm your production in the future. And accepting the difficulty and sharing it with your team members is what is specifically expected from you in the name of taking initiative or leadership. A little bit of leadership harms no one, after all, and that will show your responsibility within your team and put you in a better position. Imagine that you're making some API integration on the front end, usually you're working with a front end and a back end team, right? And each working separately. So this is a usual scenario in development teams. And once we hit a problem on the backend side of the project, for example, or a performance issue, you might think that it's not your business. Yes, true, it is not business, and the backend guys should handle that, because the problem is not specifically generated by the front end side of the app. It is generated by the backend side. But someone has to someone has to uncover this and display it and show it to the rest of the team, the backend guys. And from the perspective of a front-end developer myself, the issue is not currently blocking your development process, right? But it might affect your app when you have to scale it in the future. And I think we are supposed to take the initiative and help the backend team to understand the source of the issue and the possible caveats that the team might face in the future. And I think this is the ideal approach. And none of my business, or it's not my business, is a sentence that defines the reverse of taking initiative. And I strongly suggest trying to avoid this mindset as much as you can. And just don't be afraid to undertake the problems and share them with your team. Problem solving. So what do you think of problem solving? So everyone knows problem solving, right? I think problem solving is the most frequently repeated skill in software developer job descriptions. But sometimes, and this is the crucial part of the talk, and please pay attention, repeating does not help you grasp the idea, as opposed to the repetition technique I discussed initially. You know, repeating something enough to urge your target audience to take action. The key point here is repeating something enough. If you repeat it, if you over repeat it, or if you repeat it redundantly, let's put it this way, it is possible that your target audience might take it for granted. And our brains psychologically, automatically develop a curtain to block overwhelming and over-repeated activities. And I believe that problem solving is actually in this category, unfortunately. We hear it a million times in the industry. And we hear and see it so many times that we do not understand how we can benefit from it and make it even better. And we're able to improve problem solving skills that work by dealing with actual problems, right? That is the only point, that you deal with problems and improve your problem solving skills. It is pure hands-on experience, and I strongly suggest you experience it. There's a good way, by the way, to improve problem solving skills, but we can actually boost it if we systematically work on it. I think you'll all agree with that. But to do that, you need to think about it one more time, though this time be aware that you usually take it for granted. You've usually taken it for granted up until this point, so reconsider it. By the way, it poses a serious problem, especially if you're a self-taught developer. You know, engineering graduates are lucky in this sense, you know, in this case. They're lucky because they learn it at school to a certain extent. But self-taught developers are supposed to learn and practice problem-solving skills in a systematic way by themselves. So this is the key point. We do it by ourselves, you know. Therefore, this specific skill should be reconsidered, especially by self-taught developers. As you know, problem-solving skills are assessed with algorithmic challenges, especially in Europe or North America, though problem solving is a more complicated and comprehensive mindset than simply asking a few algorithmic challenges. Even so, with a sound knowledge of algorithms and data structures, engineering graduates are way ahead of self-taught developers. And as a self-taught developer myself, I have to admit that CS foundations are something that is usually missing in our technical skill set, right? And as a result, that puts us in a secondary position. And the foundations help you build other skills. And the learning curve of a new technology is usually dependent on how well you know the fundamental topics. It is usually dependent on how well you know these, you have the knowledge of fundamental CS topics. And there is also something called conceptual learning, which is familiarizing yourself with the terminology and concepts in a subject over time. And the key point here is that you learn it over time. So it takes time to master it. And conceptual learning requires you to see a topic, a specific topic, in different levels and different times. So let me give an example here. You would like to learn data structures and algorithms and want that to happen rather quickly because you're on a schedule yourself, because you might be a self-learning guru or a self-motivated and self-disciplined developer and want to master it in 3 months, let's say. It is possible. I shouldn't be saying it is impossible, but you will see that there will be gaps in your knowledge because you move forward rather quickly. And the amount of knowledge is huge for that time period, for 3 months or even 6 months. I don't know what is the usual time period to master these skills, data structures and algorithms, namely. I mean, although you can handle it in a couple months, but there will be some gaps in your knowledge. But at schools, the curriculums help you learn things in a systematic and a gradually increasing way. And it is designed by professors, that are experts on preparing curriculums, right? And for example, you see data structures and algorithms in different semesters. And let's say in 2 years, you took 5 classes on this subject. And within this time period, you gradually grow an understanding for data structures and algorithms, thanks to conceptual learning, thanks to the beautiful design of the curriculum. It is like you reach certain checkpoints to solidify your current knowledge of the topic. And self-taught developers usually do not experience it unless they follow a certain curriculum to fill in the gaps in your CS knowledge. But firstly, you have to be aware of the fact that we have to be systematic in our approach to such skills. By the way, why did I tell you all this? Why did I bother to tell you all this? Actually, I wanted to cover this topic in detail because problem solving is an engineering mindset that you build over time, and it also includes analytical thinking and questioning the problems you face properly. So it's a process in which you spot and define the problem, and by the way, make sure that the problem is actually what you define, and only then find hacks to overcome that problem. And it would be a waste of time to find answers to a wrong question, right? So imagine you define the problem wrong, and so you come up with a solution, but the solution does not work for that problem because the problem is not the problem that you're dealing with. It is something else. That's why defining the problem is rather quick. Defining the problem is pretty important, significant in terms of the whole problem-solving skill. Problem solving is usually a process. As I stated earlier, it includes defining the problem, making sure that the problem is actually what you define, creating solutions, testing these solutions, and repeat them if the test fails, and repeat this whole cycle until you find the correct solution to that problem. And this might take a long time to complete each step. And I think you need to show some perseverance along the way. Otherwise, it is possible that you might give up halfway or look for quick solutions that might mislead you and end up with buggy solutions, even more buggy solutions, which will eventually cause other bugs in the future in your app. And the key point here is being persistent and being patient, and not only in debugging, by the way, but in general. And persistence is yet another skill that will help you stand out in the crowd. And as you can observe, or even, I don't know whether you have observed such a thing, but you might see that the competition is increasing among software developers, right? It is possible to be a front-end developer in 6 months, with a solid understanding of front-end. We'll certainly need other personal traits that could help your prospective employers to make a positive decision on your side and decide on hiring you. And by the way, persuasion is another topic that I'd like to talk about. But before going into that, I'd like you to see this quotation: learn to sell, learn to build. If you can do both, you'll be unstoppable. And as you might see, Naval Ravikant, an American Hindu guy who's also a computer engineer, and this is one of his great pieces of advice. And here I think there's a clear wisdom for software developers for us. We actually know how to create, but persuading people that you have the skills is what we don't have as a skill. We are usually creators. We create apps, we create other things, we create databases, or we handle other creative things, right? But persuading is not in us. I mean, if you're not talented in that area, if you don't have the the talent that comes as a default feature, I should say persuading. I mean, we are not usually good at persuading, and persuading is a psychological activity, and this is usually rather difficult to achieve. And leading the human brains is not impossible, but it takes a long time and practice to tame it. It is possible, and I think we can learn persuading people by reading about it and applying it in real life. It is that simple, because we always do this, and we always use this technique in software development, right? We read the documentation and implement it. It's that simple. We always read about something and try to implement it in apps in this career. And that is a great way to learn and maintain knowledge, because you feed both your brain with both theoretical and practical knowledge. And we are so lucky in that sense. And we continuously learn a language, for example, or a framework, using the documentation, the specification, and developing apps with that knowledge, with that theoretical knowledge. Putting that in practice actually helps, and it's the ideal way. And we can just implement the same technique to learn how to persuade others, or the other skills that I've mentioned so far or will be talking about. Here, slightly out of topic, because I'll be entering in that realm, I'd like to ask a question here. Who prepares a document like a cheat sheet to use during the interviews? I mean, how do you prepare before the interviews? I really wonder that. And what I mean by a document, a cheat sheet, is that is a kind of document that helps you talk fluently and avoid excitement. Could you please write in the chat if you're using that kind of document? Marina uses it all the time, yeah. Prepare well beforehand, right, Marina? Great. I think, as developers, we are supposed to pack and present the knowledge that we've gathered up until that point. It is related to personality in general, to sell your skills, like persuading others. The selling your skills is something. I mean, it's a talent. It's a talent, but you could make it better. You could improve it. And I can say that skilling up is way ahead of personality. I mean, you can beat your personality's default values. You can manipulate it, and you may have a shy personality, for example, Therefore, you're having a difficult time with selling your skills in an interview, right? This could be achieved with preparation and practice. Just prepare a short document that sums up all your education, projects, skills, especially soft skills, experience, and a few other things. But what you have to do next is practicing this document a few times and you'll be fine. But we usually do not prepare a document for interviews, right? Though all it takes planning and preparing one-page document and working on it until you're really comfortable with it. As a result, you'll have a fluent presentation, and the ones that listen to you will be able to frame your presentation easily in their heads, because you're following a flow, a conversation flow, an interview flow, and things about you will be crystal clear, and that is ideal in terms of HRs and other relevant company officials. So you're just creating a map for them to see you in their heads. This is the psychological aspect of interviews, and the interviews, by the way, usually take about an hour, right? The interviews that I took were, about an hour, and we have to admit that it's a limited time. It's a limited amount of time. Assuming that when hackers look for jobs, especially in North America and Europe, you guys will have to take interviews more than anyone. And attracting the companies to interview is a rather difficult process. And I admit it is rather difficult to get an interview. By the way, could you please write applications interview ratios in the chat? I really wonder about that. That is how many applications you've made and how many of them turned into interviews. Could you please write the application interview ratio?
Mehmet, let me get the people. What Mehmet means, I think, is how many jobs have you applied for already?
Yes. Yep. The applications and the interviews that you get from those applications.
Could you please answer in the chat?
"20 applications with cover letter and 0 interviews." Yeah, 10 applications and 5 interviews. Yeah, great. 20 hundreds. Great. On average, let's say you have about 100 applications, and usually only 10% of these applications, at the best scenario, will lead to an interview, and therefore interviews are crucial and you guys have to make the most out of it. I think we are all aware of this fact, right? We apply to jobs like 100 times, but 50 of them are not 50 of them, maybe 10% of them are turning into an interview. So it's quite clear that you have to perform well during the interviews. As I stated at the beginning of the talk, we usually make preparations to show our technical knowledge, but the way you present your knowledge is as important as your technical abilities. You might be 10 years, you might have 10 years of experience, but if you can't sell your skills in an interview, if you can't show that you're a great team player, so why should they hire you? So you have to show them that you have other abilities besides your great technical abilities. And I'll share my documentation for interview. This is my documentation. I think a documentation like this would cover what you need in an interview and help you have a flow in your interview. All you need is to practice this, or prepare and practice this for a few times. Once you're set, use it as you need. It is that clear. And as I stated earlier, competence is increasing as a result of more population on Earth. We are more populated now on Earth, and it's the natural result. Though we have more positions, relatively more positions in the IT industry, right? But the companies are still selective, and they still apply a comprehensive hiring process, right? And therefore, you need a second party to help you in that sense. And you can work on it by yourself, by the way, if you have time. But assuming that we don't have much time as developers, we could use services like VanHack. And that is the whole idea of a service. They help you with whatever you need. And they are usually experts in the field. They're providing services. And by the way, I think we have a few hours for this to expire. VanHack provides premium services for this purpose, as you might know. I'm not sure if the Black Friday sale is expired, but you can check it out.
No, it continues. It is still on until the end of the day today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had to check it before the webinar. And VanHack provides premium services for this purpose that help you prepare for interviews. And like I said, you can do it yourself, but we don't usually have time as developers, so that's why it would be easier for you to use VanHack and its premium services. And considering that VanHack is focused on you getting hired, so they are experts, right? Because they are doing this job for a long time, and it would be a great idea to join this organization as a team, as a premium member, especially now as it is cheaper thanks to Black Friday. As a last point, I think I consider. I want you to consider these skills as career boosters. And the resulting mindset will help you stand out in the crowd. So that is the main idea. That is the main argument of the talk. Because the skills that I've talked about so far actually help you with making rational decisions. You make decisions with the current mindset you have. And you make a ton of decisions on a normal day. And that is all the result of the cumulative skill gathering activities up until that point. And I think I've come to end of my talk here. This is the end of my webinar. I really appreciate that you've shown some patience and listened to me up to this point. Thank you for listening, and challenge my ideas, challenge my arguments just by emailing me, or you can just share your experience with the ideas that I've talked about. Thank you for listening.
Mehmet, some people have some questions here. Can we open for questions and answers now?
Yep, great.
Yeah. The first one was Trader. He or she, I don't know, asked, what is the fastest and best roadmap to becoming a full stack web developer in 2021?
I think I will share my personal approach to becoming a full stack developer. We have a lot of information together on the way, and we have to plan it well. And time is important, and spending around 60 or 70 hours would be needed. So you really have to be fully focused on what you'd like to achieve. And time management here and resources management plays a crucial role, because you may have time, but you may not have the energy to work on the achievements that you'd like to gather. You know, at this point, I can say planning and implementing it would be crucial on the way, and it includes time management, resources management, and the information, the quality of the information, because you know, you have everything on the web. It's, I mean, it could be a mess. The web, the internet could be a mess because, like I said, the internet is, you know, the internet has astronomical amount of information. So finding your way through these information is important, and that's why grab a great source to become a developer, a full stack developer. And I'd say spend some time on the front end and the back end, because our focus gets easily distracted, and it is much more difficult. I'm sorry, it's much more easy to get distracted in today's world because it's a trap. We have Instagram, Facebook, and other social media, so that we get easily distracted and go away from our achievements, from our goals. That's why distractions are also important, and consider these distractions as enemies to achieve a full stack developer goal in 2021. But to sum up what I've said so far, just you know, plan it, and time management, resources management, distractions, and spend some time on front end and on the back end, and put them in order. And sometimes, you know, like I said, we get distracted with either learning this thing from the back end, this thing from the front end, and then it gets mixed, and then you go away from your goals.
Another question is from Aline. She asked, do you have any tips for the introverts to develop their communication skills in order to step into roles such as mentorship or leadership?
You know, I believe communication could be boosted by reading, because reading is input, and you need you need output, because communication is comprised of outputs. But if you don't have enough input, you cannot put something from your mouth. So you need the output, and that is triggered by a necessary amount of input. And that's why I say reading and thinking about it, and have technical in terms of technical communication. If we put our focus on technical communication, try to use as much as technical terminology, because we don't usually use technical terminology. We just describe the problems in daily language. But engineering part comes into play, you know, when you have technical communication. That would be my answer.
Ilaria asked, what if the other person in the team has weak soft skills and not much collaborative?
Assuming that you have the soft skills that I've talked about so far, so you saw the need that the guy should be educated, right? And as you might know, if you've seen that part, taking initiative also is important. So you'll take initiative and show some great communication and talk with him or her and about the need that he needs to educate himself or herself. And so if you have the skills that I've talked about, so you'll find the answer yourself, and just try yourself, you know, just show some leadership and persuade him or her to get educated. Yeah.
Ilaria also asked, remote work for junior developers is not that easy. How to learn to be more autonomous?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, she commented that the remote work for junior developers is not easy. And then her question was how to learn to be more autonomous.
More autonomous, and
yes.
I think it's a personality. But if you're serious about your job, so you have to learn how to discipline yourself, and there is a mindset as well. So I think I mean personally, I could say I am self-disciplined, and from my childhood up to this point. But learning self-discipline and being more autonomous could be a little bit difficult. But if you think about it, and if you think about how you can make it better, I think you'll find a way. I don't have a recipe. I don't have a magical recipe. I mean, if I had, I definitely share it with you. But I can say, you know, it's a part of your personality. And I think if you ask this question, I'm sure you'll find the answer, and I'm sure you're on the way to be more autonomous and self-disciplined.
Another question from Trader is, if I want to set up a unit to take on remote jobs of varied skill levels as a team, what is your advice for me?
Could you please repeat it, Marina?
Yes, sure. He commented, if I want to set up a unit to take on remote jobs of varied skill levels as a team, what is your advice for me?
So just, you know, working as a team could be difficult. That's why HRs try to assess and spot if you could fit in the team. And, you know, from the perspective of HRs and from I think from the perspective of HRs and your prospective employers, you know, collaboration in the under the headline collaboration. I talked about having a nice technical conversation and technical communication. And I think this is one of the difficult parts of working as a team. You know, I mean, software developers usually have to work as a team, and it could be difficult. But I think if we work on it, and if we think about making it better, so we are doing something on the way, and it shows that we are on the way to become a better, you know, collaborative team member. Yeah, I mean, this would be my answer to Trader. I cannot hear you, by the way.
Oh, I am always doing this. I forget to turn on. Ilaria asked, what if you have a side project, but the repo is private?
So in this case, I mean, you mean, Ilaria, so what do you mean exactly here? I mean, yes, you have the project in private repo, but you, assuming you're working with a team, right?
Yes.
I mean, in this case, your project could not be affected by this because you're probably using Kanban or other methodologies, so you're still in a team. I don't think that you would need other things, or you would need your repo public. Private repos also could help you, you know, in terms of being able to work within a team. It wouldn't affect. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Iran asked, what do you owe this success, your success and determination to work?
You know, it's all personal, I think, you know, because we have different personalities, so we've undergone different things in life. So some things put you in a different road. And there is no clear answer to this, but what I know is that I always have the thing that inside me that keeps me going, whatever I face, whatever I undergo, whatever the difficulty that I undergo. And like I said, there is no clear answer to this. It's a part of personality, and that is the complicated part to explain. I mean, you have to know me well. The people who know me well understand why I am behaving this, or why I'm trying that methodology to achieve success. Yeah, that would be my answer.
So, Mehmet, thank you very much. Yes. For being with us today. I think it was really illustrative the way you did it. In my classes, I am always saying, and I have read already, that recruiters nowadays, they are more focused on soft skills than in technical skills. Once technical skills can be learned in a relatively short time, but the soft ones take much longer to be changed. Yes.
Yeah, it's a part of your personality, and it is difficult to gather those.
Yes, that's true. If other people have questions, please put in the chat, and we'll ask Mehmet to write an answer back. Yeah. For the moment, I just need to thank you very much. Yeah, it was great being with you today. Yeah?
You're welcome, Marina. It was great being with the audience, and with you, and thank you for the organizers.
Thank you. Now I have some news for you. Yes, as Mehmet said before, our promotion for the Premium Academy, just a moment, is finishing today. Yes, until 12 midnight we'll be receiving, and after that it closes. So don't waste your time. Don't forget about it, because it is a really great promotion. If you think that you have 48 hours of class per week, both technical and behavioral, you have also profile review, you have videos, webinars, written material that are exclusive for the Premium Academy. The price is nothing. Only I am an English teacher as well, and only with the English practice that you get in class, my gosh, you wouldn't pay an English course with that price, okay? So go on there and don't miss this opportunity. I thank you all for being with us today. It's not going, stop there. And I wish you a good day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.